Hello YouTube, this is Philip on Water here. So I'm making this video because I get rather regularly now comments about my book, The Orthodox Understanding, and whenever I talk about the gospel, people will bring up a Bible verse that I've already covered in the book. And they'll say, see, it says this, so what you said about X, Y, or Z cannot be right. So, for example, in a recent comment, I said that you're saved through works, not through belief or mental assent. You have to actually do works or have effort to be saved. And then I get comments like, well, no, it says this. Paul said you're saved by grace through faith. Well, yes, I know that, yeah. And I addressed in the book that what people think Paul's saying there is not what he's saying. Faith is actually from the Greek word pistis, faithfulness. And this is just an example, okay? But there's also a whole bunch of stuff you have to unpack to understand what Paul is saying, like the context in terms of what does he mean by works of the law? He's not against moral works. That's what the reformers thought. He's against becoming a Jew. Those are the laws. The works of the law is a technical term that has to do with Jews becoming a Jew. And there's a bunch of scholarship behind this. And again, all that's in the book. That's just to give an example. Okay, so from now on, okay, if you're not going to read the book, either because you're lazy or because you're prideful, and believe it or not, those are some of the reasons that people have actually told me why they don't want to read the book, and you just give me verses that I've already covered, I see that, okay, so it's not like I completely ignore it. I do see that, but if I see that it's something in the book is free, by the way, okay? Anybody can read it. So if I see that you're saying something that I've already talked about in the book, I'm just going to ignore your comment. Because at the end of the day, what it turns out happening is that if I actually try to work with people and actually try to care about getting them to the right place in their theology, what ends up happening is they have so many assumptions and so many problems and some ignorance on things that I've talked about in great detail in the book, and then it just ends up me retyping the book in chat. Well, I don't have time to retype my whole book in the chat and to work through these things all the time. So what would be better is if you sat down, read the book, which again is free, okay? It's not like I'm asking you to go out and buy this. You can view it for free. It would be better if you sat down, read the book, and the whole book, by the way, not just parts of it, but the whole book is important. Read the whole book, and then if you have more questions or need clarification on something, to come in the comments on my YouTube channel or PM me on Facebook, and then to ask me for any clarification on certain things, or to say, hey, you missed this, would you talk about this? But don't tell me about Romans, because I've talked about the whole book of Romans in the book. I've talked about all the important verses that people bring up, like you're saved by grace alone, you're saved by grace through faith, not by works of the law. Yes, I know about those verses, okay? I've talked about those and how they're misunderstood. And don't bring up something like 2 Corinthians 5:21, okay? I have a whole section on that in the book. That's a mistranslation, by the way. He who knew no sin became sin, that we might become his righteousness. The word should be translated as sin offering. But people don't know this because people don't study the book of Leviticus, and they don't study it in terms of the original languages, Greek and Hebrew. So don't tell me that and use that to say, see, Jesus died with our sins on the cross. Okay, it doesn't say that, all right? It doesn't say that, first of all. Okay, secondly, it's a mistranslation. Okay? So read my book, please, the whole book. And then if you have a problem with it, please come and talk to me. So again, if you mention a verse that I've already mentioned, I'm just going to ignore your comment. Okay, I don't have the time to retype the book every single time. But yeah, I do appreciate your engagement though. So thank you for commenting at all. Any engagement or interest at all on this is really wonderful, I think. So I'm really happy for that. Thank you, and keep seeking the truth.